Time, perhaps one of the greatest treasures in each of our lives is time. We don't often think of it that way. More often than not, we feel we just don't have enough of it. But it is such a precious treasure. What I do in this moment of time ripples into my future, doesn't just affect the quality of this moment, what I experience now, but ripples into my future. Am I using time in a worthwhile way or wasting time? And how can I use time in a worthwhile way? I might try to fill time with a lot of busyness, activity, doing this. That's often our approach to using time in a worthwhile way. How much can I get done? But all that creates is pressure of time, a sense of racing against time. To really use time in a worthwhile way, to fill that time with so much value, not pressure. I will have to move away from the approach of busyness to explore states of beingness. Not so much what I'm doing, but how I'm doing, with what qualities. When I fill time with value, it becomes valuable. I think about the quality that is most precious to me, the one quality that I value the deepest. That if I could use every moment, fill every activity with this quality, it would be a successful day. It might be love, it might be peace or respect, integrity, truth, honor, joy. One quality I value deeply. I take a moment to really feel that quality. Let it fill the entire expanse of my inner world. Immerse myself in that quality. Being that quality. And imagining, as I'm in this state, how that might change the way I move through the day, every moment of the day, how I drive, how I eat, how I walk, how I interact, how I work and play. Letting the quality that's most dear to me color every moment of my day. That's using time in a worthwhile way. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, good evening, and welcome to Interview with Raj Yogi. And tonight's session is spiritual purpose and day-to-day moments. And so, while listening to the commentary, I was reminded of this question that comes up pretty often, and maybe not even just questions. Sometimes Raj Yoga is often perceived as the uh, mindfulness practice that's out there. So I was wondering if you'd like to share, just sort of as an introduction, the difference between mindfulness and Raja Yoga.
Om Shanti. I guess uh, when it comes to the word mindfulness, it depends a bit on how each individual is defining it. But it's always felt, when it comes to Raj Yoga meditation, the tool of meditation we use in Raj Yoga, there's certain skills or capacities we need to develop just to be able to meditate. And like slowing down the mind, decluttering the mind. And so it sometimes feels like mindfulness is one of those preparations for meditation that I need to, again, I don't know how different people are using it, but to be very present with a certain attitude. Sometimes they say a compassionate attitude, to be very present. That's a very useful state to be in as one's going into meditation. So I sometimes feel like it may be the preparatory state for going inside.
So the reason why it came up in terms of it's tricky with the title of this particular session, because what inspired me was this morning's class for regular students about just really seeing the bigger picture of things, but it's very specific in Raja Yoga. And so, of course, that may not necessarily be relevant for souls, but since this is a Raja Yoga interview, in terms of that context, it stayed with me so much in terms that sometimes we could lose the point. But with that in mind, because it's perhaps maybe not so clear sometimes in terms of mindfulness and Raja Yoga, was that could I still just be aiming to try to have a feeling of being through the day, whatever quality it is, but still there's perhaps maybe a bigger picture of what Raja Yoga is for?
One thing I appreciate about Raj Yoga is it kind of fills in the details without pulling us into the minutiae, but it sort of fills in the details. So if I, as an example, if I was to say, Nora, do a push up, and that was it, you will do your version of a push up. And the benefit you get from that exercise will vary according to your approach to the exercise. But if I was to fill in some of the details, give you some methodology, if you will, so some coaching through into a strong plank, shoulder placement, etc., um, then you'd have a very different experience and different benefit from it. So we say, you know, don't do be, go into a state of being. That's a very broad, kind of ambiguous, amorphous thing to say. I need to fill in the details a bit. What am I doing? I mean, it might be fine for some. Yes, it definitely involves letting go, and I think that's most of what it means to people is letting go of the speed, of the rushing, of the doingness. Absolutely, but that's what I'm no longer attaching to, but what am I moving into? In fact, I need to move into something in order to sustain that letting go. And what I'm used to attaching will come back. So we talk about soul consciousness and what that means and what is the experience, the peace that goes with that kind of soul consciousness. So filling in some of the details so that I can have a fairly strategic approach, clear approach to what I'm trying to be.
Do you think that maybe it's a very leading question? And
You can answer it yourself.
no, because that's more about the conversation and the exploration. I would probably say, let's say then, yes, you gave some methodology of, doing a good push-up. What happens though if you've had clients, and I assume in personal training where they had an injury? But if you remind them, the reason why you're doing this, it could help them. Is there that kind of, that kind of bigger picture as well? That maybe sometimes we could be forgetting in Raja Yoga. Day-to-day moments, yes, I had a peaceful moment. But is there like, you can still sort of lose the point, I suppose.
I'm not quite sure. I know that you want something. So, did you want to answer it?
No, no, no. It was more like
The injury piece? I wasn't sure.
maybe like there a spiritual injury that we need to be aware of, because I realize still, like, even in Raj Yoga, we can sometimes be very microscopic. Oh, trying to practice soul consciousness. And it's not like, but again, I don't know. I was just really thinking about when maybe it's just the more I touch reality, when I can really step back, and maybe it's the quality of soul consciousness too. It's of course being, but sometimes um, I can forget that there's more than just this one birth, perhaps.
I'd say almost everyone in a fitness training example, almost everyone who comes has an injury. So it depends a lot about their motive, their openness, their intention, their willingness to be able to try to do things accurately, try to figure out the cues or coaching they're getting, even with the injuries. I had there was a moment today when we were on a particular apparatus in a class. It's a Bosu trainer. It's a half dome, and one of the clients, the instructor was saying, "Yeah, I know you all don't like this equipment." And then she said, "I know Judy loves it," which is true. But another person in the class said, "Yeah, no, I don't like it at all." And she says, she has quite a tall body. She says, I can't fit on it. My body doesn't fit on it. And I was thinking about that because the soul could still get benefit or work towards, but maybe without compromising the intention of the exercise, progression or adjustment can be given where the hands are on the floor rather than on the dome to accommodate the body, rather than I just don't like it. Because I think that happens in meditation. It's just I can't meditate because we are injured, because we're so drawn into being ruled by the senses. It's a deep, deep habit. So, yes, we are injured. So, what can I create? What structure adjustments can I make to allow for that without compromising or watering down the method? And quite frankly, some of the disciplines that we do are intended to deal with the injury. So having a regular practice is intended to deal with the fact that we're coming injured, trying to have a dedicated space in your house for meditation is actually acknowledging the injury. Because, yes, technically, when we're completely healthy, we should be able to do it anywhere, but we're not. So I need to take some care in how I approach the study.
It was a public retreat in Peace Village. I believe you and another soul had facilitated. And it was really about what is the point of everything, about purity. And I believe you were sharing about just if souls can really connect to how important, the state of our original self is, they would be, it would be really a big part of just sticking to the point. Have you noticed in the study of Raj Yoga how easy it is to forget that? The reason why a few weeks ago you had shared we're having some sessions with some souls to sustain, but the conversation came to we can get so microscopic, or do we know the sort of the bigger picture again of what this is all for, what Raj Yoga is for?
I think that's the main thing, is to know what the intention of Raj Yoga is. And sure, I can get other benefits, but what it was actually designed for. Yes, I can use a saw as a door jamb or a hammer or even to cut hair, but is that what the saw is intended for? It would. And was talking about someone with someone about this today, that the first students of the Brahma Kumaris in the 1930s and 40s recognized very clearly, I think the ones that stuck around recognized very clearly what was going on, who was teaching, who were the students, what was the intention. They recognized it very clearly, and the soul listening said, I don't actually recognize any of that. Um, and so the idea that, that it can take time for that to emerge, but something's pulling the soul to continue. So maybe it's subconscious and it hasn't yet emerged. So it is called Raj Yoga. It is about restoring the royalty, dignity, original state of the soul, the pure, authentic state of the soul. That is what it's intended for. Will people use it in other ways? Yes. And that's what's going to happen. But to fully again benefit from the practice, to have these basic things understood is very helpful.
So perhaps if you could share more in terms of, I've even heard of like kindness meditations. That's actually quite popular right now. But specifically for Raj Yoga, is there, what is, again, the signature about, in the day, being able to, let's say, pick a quality and to be, if we're talking about just looking further ahead in terms of my future births?
What is unique about Raj Yoga is also what creates the most resistance to Raj Yoga is purity. That is what is unique about it. A state where I am absolutely content, free from desires, fully grounded in self respect. So that is unique. So if we're talking about kindness, the kindness is emerging from that seed of purity. And most times we just go right at the quality, and the purity doesn't have to be there. So then it actually is compromising what can grow from that seed, from the quality. So if I'm saying kind, but I still have desires, you can imagine what might happen. Yes, I'm going to be kind to you. Someone once said, yesterday was saying to me, "Oh, I have a lot of love for other people. I just don't have love for myself." And I said to them, "Then you don't have love for other people, um, because I am going to try to give that love to other people to fulfill my own need to be loved." that desire is going to be there. So even though it appears I'm giving, there's a very subtle taking unless I have that contentment inside. So Raj Yoga really focuses first and foremost on purity because that really allows the other qualities to truly be expressed.
Now, there is one particular aspect of Raj Yoga where you learn about there is the soul world. That's an interesting conversation because sometimes it's taken in a very physical way. But I was thinking about that with what you just last shared in terms of the role of detachment. And is there levels of detachment, just like detach from your emotions right now, detach from this situation right now, or this detachment that I'm a soul and everything is temporary? And would that change? What's your experience? Would that change sort of the bigger picture of I'm just trying to be kind to something much bigger in terms of my story, and that there's much more than what I'm just experiencing in a very temporary way.
I find personally it very difficult to disconnect truth and detachment. They are, to me, almost one and the same. So, you know, once I know the truth, letting go is very natural. I'm moving into the truth. So what I'm letting go of is falsehood or illusion. To perform actions under the influence of falsehood or illusion, obviously, is going to have a very different result than doing the same thing under the influence of truth or that detachment. So we can say big picture, or we can just say truth. What is eternal, timeless, not temporal. That's what I want to start to plug into. And it's going to create a very natural state of letting go because I'm absorbing the truth.
Now, we've had, at least in the lens of Raj Yoga, we've had many births of trying to detach. And so, how, and for example, avoiding running away, maybe trying to stop your thoughts. And so, perhaps this will be the last question looking at the time to be able to know the signs, because I feel that souls want to go into the truth, the signs of knowing if I'm really detached or not, or is it too late by then knowing the signs? What can I, like, maybe I need to reset somehow?
Recently was in conversation with someone and remembering the Dr. Seuss quote, wherever I go, there I am. So true detachment means I don't change anything. I do not change anything external. I don't move away from anything. But I feel differently in the same situation. I have changed. I feel differently in the same situation. So I'm sure we can all think of a situation where we're feeling a very strong emotion, but then we receive a piece of information that very naturally changes how we feel without anything moving away from anyone. Someone might be acting in a very strange way towards me. And then I learn later on that something very difficult had just happened in their life. So from being upset, hurt, or disturbed, I suddenly feel compassion, care, concern. There's an emotional change. Nothing else has changed. I just got a piece of information. So this detachment that's informed by truth, I'm getting a piece of information that's allowing me to feel, allowing me to shift internally. So I feel very different, very differently, but it's so natural. It's like magic, literally magic. God is often, one of the titles for God is the magician, because as the ocean bestower of truth, this kind of magic can happen where I have deep emotions naturally shift because I've been exposed to the truth or big picture.
I lied. One more question. Just because, I mean, you've given a physical example, if you can share a spiritual example in terms of going into feeling that reality and how you've actually seen yourself respond differently when it's so easy to sort of go back to being upset and blaming?
Even just this weekend, when I was very young, I was very, very nervous public speaking. And I mean, I liked people, so it was very a kind of tug of war inside, kind of a love hate thing. Would get very, very nervous about having to speak in front of people, especially if it's spontaneous. Winging it was, I mean, if I have a prepared statement and it's okay, I just read the thing at 200 miles per hour. It's absolutely fine. So to find myself more and more often in situations where having to speak in quite challenging moments, having to speak publicly without any real script. Um, I'd love to. I'd love yeah, in the past it was may a hole open up and swallow me. Like it would be very nice to escape. Um, but I find now I have this go-to, remembering I'm a soul, everyone else is a soul, what I really love, what's really going on, what is the point? It's not about me, all of the things that truth tells us. Um, that it changes from avoidance, nervousness to actually enjoying. So there's a very deep emotional shift.
Om Shanti. Judy Ben has voluntold me. So we're going to have a little reflection. Do I ask myself, who am I? What is the point of everything? And are my goals in my life based on a temporary story or on the truth that I am an eternal being? And that the roles, the interactions, mistakes do not define me, the being, that I have an unlimited part. And as I have this unlimited part that I may not be aware of, I have all these little limited roles to play. And that to remember my unlimited part, remembering who I am, who I belong to, so that my true self as a timeless being is restored. To refresh my awareness of my unlimited purpose, so that what I seek for peace, lightness, simplicity, real love, real belonging is possible. Om Shanti. So, thank you for joining with us this evening. Just a warm reminder in terms of the next Learn About Meditation session at the Academy, it is on the last Saturday of July. And the session is 12:15 to 1:30. I always forget when that happens. So registration is appreciated, but if you don't remember to, you can certainly drop in. And once again, to save the date for the public Raksha Bandhan session taking place on Friday, 6:30 p.m., we will be sending a note out to save the date. Again, August, did I say something wrong? August 9th on a Friday. It is at Scarborough Community Hall. And I believe that there will not be any scheduled Raja Yoga sessions for July and August just because of the summer months. But if souls are interested in any of those sessions, I'm certain that's perhaps something can be arranged one-to-one. And so please contact the center. And again, lots of drop-in sessions on site and online. So please visit the center's website. Thank you. Om Shanti.